Ladies and gentlemen, this is DVP World. You're watching another edition of Military Mind, bringing you news from the front lines. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Overnight, the Ukrainian Air Force said that it had shot down 34 of 51 drones launched on the country's central, northern, and southern regions. Air defense units destroyed nearly 20 drones that were heading towards Kyiv itself, the military said. Officials reported damage in the city of Sumy as well as areas of Konotop and Oterka. Water facilities have to switch to emergency power while some districts experienced power outages and had to rely on backup systems. Meanwhile, Russia says its forces have retaken control of two villages in its western Kursk region, continuing what Moscow says is a significant counteroffensive there. Russia's defense ministry said that its troops had retaken the settlements of Usmanovka and Borky, which lies about 20 kilometers apart on the border with Ukraine. The pro-Kremlin war bloggers said that Russia had restored control over about 10 settlements in the region, and Ukraine says its forces control about 100 villages in Kursk over an area of more than 1,300 square kilometers, figures which Russian sources are disputing. The governor of the Kursk region, Alexei Semenov, yesterday ordered the evacuation of settlements in two districts situated within 15 kilometers of the Ukrainian border. On the front line to the Torsk sector, drones of the Ukrainian Defense Forces are actively targeting Russian positions. The most difficult battles are taking place in the Volodar and Pokrovsk sectors. Currently, half of Shakhta 3 coal mine near Volodar is under Ukrainian control. Russian aircrafts are hampering the efforts of Ukrainian forces. A 115-meter high mine shaft was also blown up on the mine's territory. Now, according to Russian sources, the shaft was mined and blown up by Ukrainian troops. Currently, the situation in the entire Volodar area is far from good. Fighting is still ongoing for the spoil heap at Mine 1. It is the highest point on the entire site and is located 2.5 kilometers east of Volodar. Blowing up the shaft of Mine 3 gives Ukrainian forces an advantage because it is the highest point in the sector that the Russian troops can no longer use for an offensive. Approximately 1.1 kilometer north of the village, there's another complex of buildings under Ukrainian control with an area of about 0.1 square kilometers covered with plantations, where Russian troops can also be held back on their way to Bohoyevlenka. Let's start today's episode with footage of the Dragon drone. The white-hot mixture of aluminum powder and iron oxide called thermite burns at temperatures up to 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It can quickly burn off trees and vegetation, giving cover to Russian troops, if not killing or disabling the troops outright. As it falls from the drone, the thermite resembles the fire coming from the mouth of a mythical dragon, giving the drones their nickname. The Russians tried to shoot down such a drone, but were unsuccessful. Let's see the drone in action. The Ukrainian offensive in the Russian Kursk region started 1.5 months ago. But the Ukrainians in the Kursk region continue fighting Russian troops, and in this next video, you'll see Ukrainian fighters from the 82nd Air Assault Brigade destroying Russian equipment using FPV drones. And we end this episode with footage from the 3rd Assault Brigade. Ukrainian FPV kamikazes attack Russian infantry trying to reach the positions. A Russian soldier tried to pick up his comrade, failed, and was killed in the west part of the Luhansk region. And with that footage, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.